You are listening to Free Zone Radio. Now, keep it secret. Keep it safe.
For Free Zone Radio, this is With Honors, the Summer Series.
Sometimes I just shudder at the horrible things I've said that I totally knew better than. Yeah. So.
Surely Dr. Laird never says anything wrong. We are sitting with an epic legend in our life. This is Dr. Shirley Laird of Tennessee Tech. You teach so much here. What do you teach for Tennessee Tech?
I teach sophomore lit more than anything, as well as Shakespeare, Chaucer, advanced grammar, and of course Tolkien.
Yes. The only one of those classes I did not have with you was Tolkien. That was the only one. I'm not exaggerating when I say you are a living legend for English teachers.
Would you say a Gandalf?
And absolutely, you are a Gandalf to us. In our department, we have a workroom where we eat lunch every day, and on our wall is a little poster board of different things, and included in there is a drawing of you. So you look down upon us.
What's up there?
We have a map of Middle Earth on the wall up here too. So you mean so much to English teachers and English majors and people in the area that this is a once in a lifetime treat of getting to come back and talk to you. Your summer Shakespeare class gets referenced by people all the time.
Really?
All the time. Matter of fact, I was just talking to somebody last week, and the summer Shakespeare came up.
I think that we have a former student about to take us. I don't know if it's with you or not, but they said they were taking a summer Shakespeare class.
Well, it would be me.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'm the only one who teaches
Yeah.
it.
So
In the summer, anyway.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, Dr. Dieter teaches it in the spring. I teach it in the fall and the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think summer Shakespeare can be really intimidating on the front end because it's basically a play a day, correct?
Well, we do about 2 a week.
Oh, okay.
It's 4 weeks, and we did 8 this summer.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
today is final.
Yeah. When I first started teaching my AP class, I would do Shakespeare. I would do quizzes over the Shakespeare reading, and I felt intimidated of, okay, well, how can you do a good quiz? And I fell back on the quizzes that you would give us because I kept them in a binder. So I basically modeled my work off of you too.
Well, I just want to make sure they read it.
Right.
And I don't care if the questions are easy.
Right.
They won't know the answer if they didn't read it. So that's what I just want them to read the play. Of course, now I usually suggest following along on the BBC productions
Right.
when they're reading it, because I think that's a much better way to read it.
Right. Agreed.
I think that's refreshing to hear because we get told how much we have to make sure we're like reaching these benchmarks on our questions and stuff. And just to hear someone that does it so well say, I just want to make sure you're reading the play. I don't know. That's refreshing to hear.
Well, see, I don't have to worry about benchmarks. Thank goodness. Yeah, your point of view is probably entirely a different matter.
You were also the one who taught our Chaucer class. Do you still love teaching Chaucer as much as you used to?
Oh, Chaucer is probably my favorite class.
Really still?
Yeah.
You caused me to have a great love for Geoffrey Chaucer, and I remember my student teaching, the teacher said, well, I'm going to let you have Canterbury Tales. And I thought, oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I happened to see you in passing in the hallway, and I said, Dr. Laird, they're going to let me teach Canterbury Tales. And you kind of lifted your hand and said, well, the world just keeps on giving and giving. Who could ask for anything more? I feel like As a teacher, I struggle now to get kids in the high school classroom to love Chaucer as much as I do, but I also think there's still so much relevant about Geoffrey Chaucer, his characterizations of the Canterbury Tales characters as slices of life. All of this, I feel like he matters so much to what we do.
Well, I tell my Chaucer class, whenever we're hiring someone, either a chair or a faculty member, I try to decide which pilgrim they remind me of, because then I feel like I know who they are much more so.
Do you ever find yourself comparing yourself to one of the pilgrims?
No.
Never?
But, politicians, but we aren't naming names today. But, and, other people sometimes you'll say, oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And I don't do it gender specific,
Right.
anything. So.
Well, doesn't that also speak to a timelessness of the writing, that whether it's the 1300s or the 2020s, you still see these people show up over and over and over?
Otherwise, there's no point in reading it.
That's right.
Except for maybe history.
Right. Tolkien is the only class I never got to take with you. When you teach Tolkien, one of the first questions that comes to my mind is the literary merit of Tolkien. We have administrators who always assess us and the texts that we pick for the classroom. They ask, are these HQIMs? High quality instructional materials. As if there is a certain barometer or a certain scale that, well, this one has more whatever, as if you could calculate it. How do you answer that question? Is Tolkien literary?
Yes, Tolkien knew so much. Of course, some scholars like to get snotty about him because of the hobbits, I guess, and orcs, and things are black and white. But, he could practically quote a Beowulf in Old English. And the course I teach, I call it Tolkien and his Sources. And we do a Norse saga in there. And then we do Beowulf and Sir Gawain, because, it's a quest. Mm-hmm. And then the dragon scene from The Hobbit is right straight out of Beowulf. Yeah. And there are lots of other things you think of. Tolkien, I don't think, other people have said, didn't really love Shakespeare and Chaucer like he loved some of these things that I don't myself love. But, I started reading the Kalevala one time. That's a Finnish work. That Tolkien just loved. And, Finn is not even Indo-European language. And it's just totally different. And I thought, well, I think I'll read this. And I think maybe I read 100 pages. I gave it a fair chance. And I thought, Tolkien, I know you love this, and I love you, but I don't love this. So, anyway, so I quit the Kalevala.
Oh.
So, anyway, I think I also love those things that he loved, like Beowulf. And, he thought that Tolkien didn't do as much. He thought that Shakespeare didn't do as much as he could with the woods, with Birnam Wood, moving to Dunsinane. But when you see Treebeards, you can see why he would think that.
Yeah.
And so his favorite... I think maybe his two favorite Canterbury tales were The Nun's Priest's Tale and The Reeve's Tale. And I thought, why did you like The Reeve's Tale? Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's one of the few that Chaucer uses dialect in.
Oh. And,
he uses a northern dialect, or some of the characters do. I thought, that's why you like The Reeve's Tale. I mean, people love Chaucer, but, most people don't think the Reeve's Tale is their favorite. The Millers, maybe, but not the Reeves. And I think probably, I just thought, why? And I think that's probably why.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's not a bad tale, but...
Right. Well, and he's such a creature of language, like inventing his own Elvish language, correct?
Oh, yes. But, and that was important to him.
Right.
I myself think that learning Elvish is kind of like learning Klingon. Why would you spend your time doing that?
Right.
But I understand how much Tolkien loved linguistics and Old English and all of that. And so, and the Elvish is fun on the ring there and so on. But, Tolkien, I don't know why anybody would question the greatness of Tolkien. The person who sold more books than anybody, excluding Shakespeare and the Bible and things like that, not Tolkien. Agatha Christie.
Oh.
I think I've heard that before. Yeah.
And I mean, you put together Tolkien and J.K. Rowling, and they're not in her neighborhood.
Wow.
She's approaching Shakespeare. But, the books are good. You go over to Books A Million, there's a whole shelf of Agatha Christie there. And I love murder mysteries.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just good.
Right.
But, you don't have cell phones in them and so on. She was born before 1900, and died in the 70s, I guess. I guess that's about like Tolkien's lifetime. But still, people haven't been reading and loving his books without merit. People say that James Joyce is a great writer, and I'm perfectly willing to agree with that, so long as I don't have to read. And I don't feel that way about Tolkien. It's no reason not to enjoy what you read.
Yeah.
And a boy somebody from the advising center sent him up to see me the other day because he wanted to take Tolkien. And there are these kids, they love Tolkien. And I don't know why you would question its worth as literature when just because it's popular.
Right.
I mean, and it's very popular even now.
Yeah.
So,
and
it's not, he's got a lot of allusions in it too.
Right.
It's not like you don't. I see a lot of Shakespeare allusions in there too. Excuse me, go ahead.
No. Because that's perfect for what I wanted to know about this. At an AP training a few years ago, the instructor was going on about how we have to have students write about literary merit, and she did not trust students to be able to write about the tension in certain things, and she always seemed to expect us to reach for more, which I'm fine with, but she wanted us to talk about the things that we loved teaching in our classes, and everybody kept coming up with the same Macbeth, Caesar, and those I love those too. But at that point in time, The Hobbit was my favorite thing to teach with my sophomores, and
Did they like it?
They loved it. They loved it. So much so that their group called themselves the Inner Circle after the ring. They were like the ring that drew us all together. And so when it came to my turn, that's what I told the teacher was, I love teaching The Hobbit. And she looked at me like I had lobsters crawling out of my ears. She was just like, what? And I felt myself falling onto the defensive. And I said, well, I get that it's a tale that sounds like it's being told to children. But I fell back to the part where Bilbo is under the Misty Mountains and he's lost from the others. He has to do this on his own. And in the very deep dark, he finds the anti-Hobbit, Gollum. And how do they handle this conflict between each other at a reflective surface of this underground lake, except by riddling with one another? And what an intellectual battle of wits that has to be. And it felt like self-facing anti-self. And he does have victory in this moment. He comes back to the surface of things. It felt like a very psychological moment to examine. And the teacher looked at me and said, well, if I taught it that way, maybe. But I wouldn't tell them to you. And I thought, where does this judgment, where does this snarkiness about Tolkien come from?
It's true of a lot of, it's snotty scholars mostly, or people who are, uppity, should I say?
Right.
But who just think that because something everybody loves, it must not be literary enough or whatever. I don't know.
If it appeals to the masses, it can't possibly be something.
Right.
Out of Tolkien's work, which do you prefer?
I love all three, all four. The Hobbit. And you know, The Hobbit, every time I read it, gets better. And, you know, and he wrote it for his children. And I believe children learn more in school than I just can't see a sixth grader most of them wanting to read The Hobbit today. I love The Hobbit, and I love the next three. You know, Tolkien wanted The Fellowship, The Two Towers, and The Return to be one book.
Right.
And the publisher said it's kind and so they did it in three. Tolkien thought the last one gave it away, The Return of the King. But there are things I love about each one of them, and so I don't think I have a favorite there. And I like the Silmarillion too. I can't make students read it. I haven't. I've tried to in Tolkien for several years. They just won't read it. But this last time I taught it, I told them I'd just make a deal with them. If they'll just read Beren and Luthien, then I'll let them off on the rest of the quizzes. Well, it's so, you know, he's got Beren. His son had Beren and Luthien. You know, it's on their tombstones. So.
Do you think I've read the Silmarillion, and for me, the first 3 or 4 chapters was kind of a struggle to get through.
I agree.
I didn't really know what was going on until there was like a certain point where it kind of all clicked, and I was like, oh, this is like an origin, like a Genesis type story. And I really enjoyed it after that. Do you think maybe that's why the students struggle reading it, is just that beginning is kind of hard to sort through?
And it's really slow. I translate those people to the various gods, you know. Ulmo is Poseidon and so on.
Yeah.
I just think, for one thing, they're just not that interested in it. And they got so much other stuff to do. And they don't want to make the effort to do that. But, you know, I love Fëanor myself. You know, I think he's just a great character. And I hate to see him get killed, but he deserves it, you know. So, anyway. And he's got some great things in there. For one thing, I think they don't persevere enough to get to it. And another, it takes time. And they aren't that interested in spending that much time on something they're not interested in.
Well, I told him after I'd read it, and then I went back. I had watched the movies and not read the books yet, as I guess most modern of us have. But I read that first, which is kind of crazy to say.
The Silmarillion first?
I read it first and then kind of went through.
And you liked it?
I did like it, yeah.
Good.
I read it and then The Hobbit, and then I went through, I guess, chronologically. And I told him after reading that and then coming back through specifically the Lord of the Rings trilogy, there was so many things in the background that I didn't know because I hadn't read the Silmarillion. And then you see those things, and it added a lot more worth to what I was reading that second, I guess, that time through. Because like I said, I'd seen the movies and heard the words, but I didn't know the people.
Right.
And then you read the Silmarillion and you start to put it together, and it's just this entire world that he had created.
And then you see the references to them in the, well, I call it the trilogy. That's not really what Tolkien thought it was.
Right.
And in The Hobbit.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know the background.
Yeah.
You know, I've started reading the Odyssey. I haven't read it in years, and I'm over halfway through it, I guess. But, you know, Odysseus goes down to the underworld to see Achilles. And down there he sees Ajax, who's mad at him and won't talk to him. And I thought, what's Ajax mad at him about? So now I have to read the Iliad to get to the point. I should have just done it first, but I just had my mind on the movie. So I thought, okay, and because I thought I was going to get away with not reading the Iliad. Not that it's not good, but the Odyssey's better, I think. And so anyway, it's like you're talking about on the Silmarillion there, that, you know.
Well, my students are reading the Odyssey for their summer reading this year, too. So I'm really glad you brought that up as well.
I'm very much looking forward to this. I
Yeah.
hope they don't make a mess of it.
I feel the same exact way. But I feel also that Christopher Nolan has done really well with his catalog of work so far, Interstellar and everything. So I'm crossing my fingers. I hope he does well.
Well, do y'all watch The Mandalorian?
Mm-hmm.
And I watched all three, and then I went to see the movie, which, it's not terrible, but it's not wonderful.
Right.
But I love the series.
Yeah.
And so I watched the documentary. It's about 7 or 8 episodes, I don't know, of making it. ILM, you know what that is.
Yep.
Did all the graphics and so on. But one of the episodes was on the composer, Ludwig Göransson, whatever. And I think the music for The Mandalorian is just right. It's right. It's just like Jaws. John Williams got that right.
Yeah.
And I assume that John Williams did Star Wars too.
He did.
And but then I read that Ludwig Göransson, is doing the music for the Odyssey.
Oh.
And I thought, okay, because, I love the music so much, and I don't know music, but it's just so right for the man. Have you thought that about it or paid attention to it?
I 100% agree. And we were just recording about a different text this morning, and music as a guiding force came up with that. And what makes it so authentic was the music in that piece as well. If you're telling the story of Mandalorian, how do you not have that music to help tell that story?
And I'm just very curious, can't wait to see what music Göransson thinks is right for the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows that Jaws music.
Right.
And doesn't amount to much, but it's right.
Yes.
And I guess Star Wars is too.
Are you loving the Odyssey on your read of it right now?
Oh, yeah. I already knew it was good. I love Rosy-Fingered Dawn and Bright-Eyed Athena and or Athena with the flashing eyes. And
right.
Actually, Odysseus is not that nice a guy.
Right.
He lets I don't know what he could do about it, but he lets the Cyclops have one of his men for supper every night. You know? Though how he could have stopped him, I'm not quite sure either. But anyway, and I guess you've watched the previews online.
Right.
Charybdis looks great.
I agree. Yes.
But and so, anyway, you didn't come to talk about the Odyssey.
No. This is a perfect segue from what we just recorded earlier and Tolkien as well. If we're talking about a character like Odysseus, he seems to be on a quest for home. A journey. And home that he comes back to is not at all the home that you left.
Good for you.
And, well, in a way, it seems like we're all chasing after some sort of mythology, some sort of home, some sort of place. And maybe you can't ever go home again, I think is what the poet tells us. You can't ever, in a way, go home again, but it never stops us from yearning for it.
I think that's the best thing parents can give children. A solid, stable home.
Yes. And we yearn for it, whether we can recreate it or whether we give them a new kind of home.
Well, things don't have to be the same.
Right.
When you go home after you've left and got a job, it's different.
Yeah.
But your mother's always your mother.
Yes.
So.
And Penelope, even when he has handled the suitors, Penelope still doesn't firmly trust that this is actually him.
What does she do then? Make him use the bow?
He has to use the bow.
And the servant recognizes the scar.
That's right.
And I'd forgotten the little dog.
The dog. Also the bed. That you have to prove that you know that the bed is right before I know that you are bona fide, that you are absolutely the authentic real husband.
He built it into the wall or something.
That's
I
right.
didn't get that far yet.
That's right. So it's like even now I can't fully trust that you are the home or you are the person because we've all grown older. Your experiences have changed you, whatever.
And he's been gone 20 years.
Yeah.
10 for the war and 10 getting home.
That's right.
I would be careful if I were Penelope. She's learned a lot in that 20 years, a lot different kinds of things from what he's learned.
And Odysseus is like does Homer call him a man of constant sorrows or a man of many something? He calls him Odysseus Polytropos, a man of many different talents, but there's something else like a man of many different problems.
Maybe that's where the Coen brothers got the man of constant sorrow.
Could be.
I don't know the answer to that.
Could be. I was just thinking that Odysseus brings some of these problems on his own head, too. He's not fully without sin.
He's just stupid sometimes.
He is. Frodo has a quest that takes him away from home.
An anti-quest, so he's going to get rid of something as opposed to, like Gawain, finding something.
Yes. And at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, Frodo reminded us a lot of Bilbo. That we wondered if Tolkien wasn't kind of like reprising some of his success with Hobbit for, well, he's like Bilbo in wanting to yearn. Well, he's about the same age. Well, that there were similar characteristics between the two.
I think so, but Tom Shippey, who I think is the best Tolkien critic, I mean, there are lots of good ones. I think he's the best one. He actually taught the same job Tolkien did at Oxford. But he says the first, 3, 4, 5 chapters, the hobbits leave home and they go to, whose house is it? Their cousin's house.
Yeah, they go to Crick Hollow first.
Crick Hollow.
That's right.
And there they, I believe the riders come there, don't they? And they escape into Old Forest. And then they leave there. And it's Tom Bombadil next.
That's right.
They go to Tom Bombadil's and they leave there. And then the Barrow-wites get them. And, he said he's just digging them out. All he's doing for the first few chapters there, just digging them out of holes, and he doesn't know. But then when they get to the ring, he's got his story.
Yeah.
And my class doesn't like him to be criticized.
Oh.
They don't like it when I say he doesn't know what he was doing in those first few chapters there. But I agree with Shippey.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because that's what we were talking about is like the similarities to The Hobbit you can see in those first few chapters. It almost, I don't want to say it is formulaic, but it almost felt formulaic because Frodo mirrored Bilbo so much. And then you were talking about when they went to the Barrows, it kind of reminded me of whenever Bilbo went into the Goblin Cave, they found all their weapons there, and that was kind of what happened with Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin is when they went into the Barrow Cave and they came out with their weapons on the other side. And what else did we point out? There was, with Tom Bombadil, it reminded me of in The Hobbit when they're running away from something and they come upon Bjorn and they kind of find refuge with him and he's kind of a protector for them. And so that makes sense that he was kind of filling himself out there a little bit, like where do I go from here? And maybe he was relying on something he already had success with, maybe.
Well, Old Forest, what is it, Old Man Elm? That's not what he calls him.
Is it Old Man Willow?
Old Man Willow.
Yeah.
I mean, he nearly gets them.
Yeah.
And then they get out. Is it Tom that comes and gets them out?
Yeah.
And then the Barrow-wight, he's got them laid out and we're decorating them in old clothes, you know. And, of course, the class gets defensive about that, too. They say, well, he gets that sword that he uses later, which I forgot. And I still don't remember. But anyway, everybody but me loves Tom Bombadil.
Oh, well, we just talked how we feel like he's pointless.
Yes. I do not enjoy the Tom Bombadil scene at all. I just don't.
No, I don't either. I don't like Tom. I think he could have left. But, he's just going along. He's got to do something. And then when does the ring? That's when, but then he gets his focus. Is it when he leaves Tom Bombadil's that he gets, he's got the ring the whole time.
He does, but they go to Weathertop. And
I
think 5 of the 9 riders surround them, and
that's when they get Aragorn.
yes,
When they get to
Bree.
Bree.
That's right. Yep.
When they get to Bree.
Yeah.
And then he's got his story.
Mm-hmm.
And you know who's doing the movie of the beginning of this, don't you? Stephen Colbert.
Oh, is he?
I've known for a long time Colbert loves the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And several months ago, I guess it was, obviously before he was canceled, Trump tried to correct the Pope on something. And Colbert said, trying to correct the Pope on the Bible is like trying to correct me on the Lord of the Rings, which I thought was just great. So, anyway, but he's doing the first. His son's a screenwriter.
Oh, I didn't know
hadn't known that either, but I just read it somewhere. And
That's
so
fantastic.
He's got 3 grown children, I believe.
Yeah.
And one of them is a screenwriter, and the 2 of them are doing the. Of course, in collusion with Peter Jackson. I'm sure he wouldn't turn anybody loose without overseeing them.
Sure.
But still, I don't know if it'll be any good or not.
I hope so. Right.
I hope so. Right.
Jackson's 3 movies were all made at the same time, and then they were released spaced apart, and they just hit the pop culture. They hit a vein in the pop culture, and they've resonated. Some people have suggested that Peter Jackson's movies have, revived Tolkien in a way for mass audiences.
A lot of people hadn't read him and loved the movies.
Right. So that brings them to the Tolkien books.
Right.
But you get suspicious about sequels. You get the Hobbit movies. I did not love. They did too much.
They had a few good points.
Yeah.
But my theory is, not knowing anything about this, you understand, that it went to his head how much everybody loved the first 3. Because I used to think, I wish he had done The Hobbit first and then the trilogy. But I've been so glad it didn't work that way, because I'd rather he screw The Hobbit up than the trilogy. And that's what he did, I think.
Yeah.
And he invented all these things, and I thought, who cares about the mayor in town and all of that?
Yeah.
And Bard, he didn't even do a good job with him, I don't.
Right.
He just overdid everything. And the white orc is, when you got your enemy there, you should just go ahead and kill him.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, in, Moore Martin's book.
The Game of Thrones.
The Game of Thrones. You remember that, I think that may have been Pedro that gets killed there. Cause
Yes.
He's got the mountain down.
That's right.
And then he's got to taunt him, and then he gets killed.
That's right.
And that's exactly what that white orc happened, And does he kill, is it Thorin or somebody he kills there? And, and there was just, you just kill him and be done with it. And
I think that Peter Jackson only wanted to do 2. And Harvey Weinstein made him do 3.
wanted the money.
Yeah, and so if there's some behind the scenes things where Peter Jackson was like, I had to fill in a lot of space, but also I think he had Guillermo del Toro was going to do the second one, and then they started shooting, and then del Toro was like, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore. So Peter Jackson had to come in and basically duct tape everything together on the second one.
And I'm glad del Toro, he did Hellboy, right? And see, he's got slimy stuff, and I don't like that, and I don't think that's what The Hobbit needs.
Right.
And I thought, well, I'm really just glad that he's not part of it. Who knows what he would have put in it.
Yeah.
But there's some things that are just so great then with Frodo and Aragorn, and some things, Tolkien was very careful about his details, and I haven't really ever tried to put together where Gandalf was and an eagle flies over something, but he was very careful about things like that.
He brought that up during our first recording over Fellowship, that Tolkien is a master at world building, because you can read through and the characters will be like, oh no, actually we should have been over here at this point, and he can sow the seeds of all these details on the locations, the settings. But it's not just because I need it for a map. It's because, like in the Silmarillion, so many of these characters and backstories and places inform decisions that are being made now. Aragorn in the movie seems to be so much more humble or cautious about not wanting to be heir of Isildur. Like, I know that I am, but I don't want to have to pursue that right now. But when you read Fellowship, he seems to accept, I am heir of Isildur. It's time. I'm going to be doing this. And if you don't have that background of Isildur, if you don't have the background of choices, of characters, of settings, a lot of that doesn't matter as much. But it resonates once you know it.
Makes it much more, well, it's just got a greater depth that way.
Yeah.
So
I also like that you characterize it as the anti-quest of getting rid of the treasure instead of going to seek
now
the
that
treasure.
wasn't my idea. I read it somewhere. I don't want to take credit
Still.
for it. But still, yeah. But in a quest, Gawain is going because he has no choice, and he's going to fight the green. And Frodo's going to get rid of the ring.
Yeah.
And, somebody did a podcast or whatever that said, just give the ring to an eagle and let it drop it in the Mount Doom. And I thought...
But I've thought about that. Sauron would see that coming, though, right? I mean...
Yeah, we're not supposed to... lots of times reading something, I don't think, and it's just not... We wouldn't have a story.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sauron.
He would see that.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. He would know that. But I was thinking, it's Gwahir, right? Is that how I say that? Gwahir. I'm in the middle of Two Towers right now, and how many times does he bail Gandalf out? Like, Gandalf's in trouble, and here comes Gwahir. And I think I've got a note here.
Does he take him off the tower?
He takes
in
him
the
off
book
Orthanc.
and the movie?
And then
I get them mixed up sometimes.
Right.
well, he helps them out in The Hobbit. Gwahir
when
and the
they're in the
Eagles come.
trees
Yeah, it comes and
okay,
and then he gets Gandalf off of Orthanc. And then in the Two Towers in the book, when Gandalf's talking about defeating the Balrog, and he's like, I was just laid on this mountaintop, and Gwahir came and picked me up. And as soon as I read that, I thought, Gwahir is always saving Gandalf. And then Gandalf says, I'm a heavy burden, friend. And Gwahir's like, yes, you are.
One of the questions I have on here is, and tying back to Odyssey, Beowulf, that so often our epic characters, our epic heroes are supposed to embody culture's values, and our villains tend to embody the things that we're afraid of or that we hate. If you were thinking about the heroes of Tolkien's work, what values do you think they embody?
Selflessness, for one thing. And, they all occasionally, I guess, have a weak moment. Bilbo takes the Arkenstone.
Yeah.
He steals it because he thinks, he said I could have whatever, and then he takes it and hides it. And I asked the class, why did he do that? And they don't ever come up with the reason, I think, which is simply greed.
He's the burglar.
He's a burglar. It's his last burglary, we say. And he's enchanted. He falls in love with that stone.
Yeah.
And he just is unable to give it up. But then he does, and he does the right thing there. But I think it's great that Tolkien has him steal that, and he knows how what's his name feels about it. Thorin feels about the Arkenstone.
Sure.
And he still takes it. And I just think he's so taken in by that he just can't help it. But he does the right thing, of course, eventually. And I think that we all probably have to guard against something like that sometimes. But I think, Sam... I think one thing Tolkien's getting at, we're all just little Sam's the unknown soldier. And, I like tombs for unknown soldiers.
Yes.
They're the ones that fight and get killed, not the generals. Even on those Indian movies, Cowboys and Indians, the Indian chief's sitting up on a hill. He's not down there fighting. And he recognizes the importance of somebody like Sam, who really does better with not becoming addicted to the ring than anybody, I think.
Yes.
He takes it and he's able to part with it.
Yeah.
And Bilbo does early on, and not in The Hobbit, it's in the Fellowship, isn't it? And it's hard, but he's not been taken in totally like Gollum then.
Yeah.
But I think he thinks that just ordinary people have a lot of strength and character, and you have to depend on them. Just a lot like those people in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I mean, it was what, -5 degrees?
Yeah.
I have to wear my jacket at 60 or plus 60. And I just think, how could y'all be out there protesting at minus whatever? And I really respected and admired that dedication and commitment then.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Tolkien is thinking about, that kind of character.
Yeah. Beowulf features a hero who tends to embody values like strength, courage, bragging, yada, yada. But the villain also embodies things that we hate or fear. When I teach Grendel, one of the things that I want to make sure students know is that he's not just wrath or violence, that he's also this insidious wit, that he attacks the mead hall when they're drunk and passed out, not during the daytime when they could have presented a forward fight. He attacks them when their guard's down because he knew, I can win this fight now. So often we point to intelligence as the good thing, but intelligence, like any weapon, like any fire, can be used for evil as well. What about complicated villains like Gollum or any of them in Lord of the Rings?
Well, I think back to Grendel is just innately evil. And, when he gets there, and the poet says that the men, they've been talking and drinking and all that evening, and now they're asleep and they're comrades and friends. And Grendel looks at that, and the poet says, then his heart laughed, dreadful monster, because he thought that before the day came, he would separate the life from the body of him. So he's just innately evil. I don't know who's just innately evil. And another thing, too, that's important, I think, about Grendel as opposed to the fire dragon, he's a man-like creature. He's got a head that it takes 4 men to carry. And we know he's got an arm with claws on it and a trunk. And, people say they saw somebody walking like that, a man-like creature in the swamps. And, I think Beowulf is fighting not just, he's a grotesque travesty of what a man ought to be. And I think when Beowulf fights Grendel, he's fighting the evils in nature and the world and whatever, and in man himself then. And so who would that be? Tolkien's so black and white. We've got orcs and, and I think Saruman, they're corrupted people, but did they start out like Grendel?
Right.
Is that what you asked me?
Yes.
And Sauron, in this last Ring show they did you figure out who Sauron was?
I haven't watched The Rings of Power. I haven't seen that one yet.
Well, I didn't figure it out when it counted as figuring out. It was like 5 minutes when it was, so obvious. And Sauron, he goes way back with Iluvatar, doesn't he, or so? And of course Shiloh's just innately evil.
Yeah.
Well, I had learned that Sauron was a Maiar. You were talking about the
He was
Balrog was a fallen wizard. Sauron was
and Gandalf too. Aren't Gandalf and Sauron pretty
That's
much
right.
the same?
Yeah.
So, I guess you could go back to religion. That's not what I like about Tolkien.
Yeah.
But, you certainly can't say, and it's one of the students, and it's like Sam says, I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you, like it's a Christ, like a Christ figure or something there. See, I see it, but I don't like it.
Right.
So anyway, but he's certainly dedicated and selfless, and he's just an ordinary person who's brave and smart and I guess Tolkien might be talking about, fate's all about, Beowulf's all about fate too. And you remember in the cave there I guess that's in the Fellowship when they're going through the mines.
Yeah.
And I think it's impossible that Gollum followed him like he did, but we don't worry about things like that. So anyway, and Frodo says there's something back there, and Gandalf says it's Gollum, and Frodo says let's kill him, and Gandalf says no. We've all got our roles to play. Some that live deserve to die, and some that die deserve to live, but it's not our place to decide that. And it's because of Gollum and fate and everything working out that the ring's destroyed at the end.
Yeah, that's right.
Because if Gollum hadn't followed them, and if Frodo had killed him, and even Sam, and it's a wonder Sam didn't kill him. But he didn't.
Yeah.
And then he saved, basically, in a way, Gollum saved the world, or Sam, or the three interacting together there. And that also, I don't know if that's the influence of Beowulf on Tolkien or not, but Beowulf's definitely fates is on it.
You've said about Tolkien with the hobbits and the orcs, we've got like black and white. He was very black and white, but I'm wondering if men are kind of the gray area.
Oh,
because I'm thinking about Boromir. He was, I think we would say a good man, but tempted by the ring ultimately. I think also my favorite people are the horse lords. But also Theoden. I just got done reading the Helm's Deep section of Two Towers, and I thought it was odd that Theoden says he misses Gandalf, but he also says, I miss Wormtongue as well. And I was kind of like, that. And I was like, what because he says, I miss both of my counselors, Wormtongue and Gandalf. And I was just like, why is he still so attached to him? But maybe Theoden still has this desire that Sauron was maybe feeding him some type of power. I don't know. But it made me kind of view Theoden just a little differently, because he's still attached. Even when you were talking about how in the movie The Two Towers, when they go to Orthanc and Theoden offers him a second chance that you didn't think. But in the book, when Gandalf kind of cast this curse off of Theoden still wants Wormtongue to. They're trying to get Wormtongue out of there, and Theoden's like, no, he can come to Helm's Deep with us, and let's give him a chance to prove himself. I don't know. It's almost like an addiction, maybe, with Theoden.
Shippy says the ring's an addiction, so I don't know. I don't remember his statement like that about Wormtongue, but it could just be. I mean, there's just a thought that he's such a pathetic, worthless, pitiful creature that he just can't bring himself to kill him. But that doesn't mean he needs to take him with him.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
And of course, we need Wormtongue too, because he's the one that throws the Palantir down, or plant, or whatever it is down. So, it could be like Gollum, a parallel sort of to Gollum, I guess. It's just a thought. I hadn't thought about that. But we definitely need him to throw that crystal ball down.
Also, I'm just thinking, too, there are men fighting on both sides at Helm's Deep, because that's something that they mention a lot, is that the Riders of Rohan notice that there are men with the orcs that are fighting against them as well, because remember, they kind of rouse up, Sauron rouses up the people that said, I may say this wrong, Eorl, the founder of Rohan, kind of kicked these people out of their land and claimed his kingdom. and they've still been bitter about that. So you've got men fighting on both sides, good and evil, at Helm's Deep. So I don't know, maybe they're the gray area.
The final battle, or they've got men too, because some other countries, and a lot of them. So I don't. Do they put men in the movie fighting there? I can't remember.
At the Battle of Five Armies?
No, at
Helm's Deep,
Right.
when Theoden rides out on his horse.
No, not in the movie. They don't have any men fighting with the orcs on that. No, but I think on the final battle in Return of the King, there are.
Yeah, lots of men actually.
Yeah.
What do you think about the irony? You bring up the Palantir. We live in a day and age where Palantir is an insidious technology that gives insight into all of the tracking, the data, what people are using with their computers. What do you think about the irony that we live in an age where Tolkien's devices have become real technologies that are being used against us?
I guess I'm sort of not surprised, because anything you can think of, I love the little rovers on Mars myself.
Yeah.
Spirit and Opportunity. I saw an IMAX about them, and I just felt like they were my children. And they were supposed to last 6 months, and Spirit lasted they were supposed to last 3 months, weren't they? And Spirit lasted, 6 or 7 years. But Opportunity lasted almost 15.
Yeah.
And there's this Amazon special documentary that I just love, Good Night, Oppie. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Oppie, his nickname for Opportunity. It's kind of hokey, but, I still like it.
Yeah.
And, and I think sometimes, and of course there have been more since that. And I think, are we ever going to... Our sun is one of billions in our galaxy, the Milky Way. The Milky Way is one of billions of galaxies, each with billions of suns. Is it possible there's not intelligent life out there somewhere? I question if it's been to visit us myself. I'm with Obama because when he got in trouble a while back when somebody asked if he believed in aliens. I can't remember.
What he said, like they're already here or something like that.
No, he said yes, but I've never seen one.
Okay.
And so then he said, I saw something else not right then, and he said, I guarantee you, if there were any aliens at Roswell, a guard there would have taken a selfie and sent it to his girlfriend. And I thought, you are right. Or a guard or somebody would have taken a selfie. And so on. So, you hear all of this stuff, and I watch it, and I think it's interesting, but not very convincing.
Right.
And I don't have a problem thinking that, but just because we haven't solved how fast you can move. So in answer to your question, I guess, yes, I'm not surprised. I hadn't thought about it. But, all these things that sci-fi writers think of, and I don't know if you'd call Tolkien a sci-fi writer. I guess he's fantasy, but, he's classified as that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, it's still not crystal ball technology exactly, but still it's technology that you can hardly believe.
Yeah.
Sometimes, we move faster every day of our lives than Shakespeare ever moved in his whole life.
Yeah.
But, they had carriages to get around, and I guess pretty soon we'll be flying around on these, you see in movies sometimes.
Right.
Why would you name a company Palantir? That's like us saying, I'm going to name my company the One Ring.
Right. Well, it's not even hiding it,
I promise I'm not evil.
Palantir.
Is there a company named that?
Yes.
Oh,
Peter Thiel has a company named Palantir, and it's all about data collection.
He's a bad guy, though, Peter Thiel.
Well, there's our bad guy with the crystal ball.
Yeah.
Saruman.
But, and he's running the world, and we just let him.
Yes.
And what's wrong with us is what I'm wondering more than what's wrong with him.
Yes.
And, I think it's a perfect storm, but it's all come together. And, I think y'all do something, don't put up with it.
Right.
But most of us, I think, maybe this is the answer to your question, we respect the law. But, we want to do things right, the way they should be done legally. And that's not how he does things. Right. And apparently you can't fight. We'll get through this. Yeah. And I agree with him. We will.
You give me hope, too. I had forgotten that in Fellowship and by Return of the King, that Osgiliath and Minas Morgul, once upon a time, these areas used to be part of the human realm.
Right.
The only reason why Mordor controls that is because we allowed it to happen. Over time, we just gave up. And for me, while reading back through that, I was just astounded, and I thought there just seemed to be times in the human experience where we let bad things happen. Cassius, in Julius Caesar, Cassius says the fault is not in our stars, but in ourselves. We let these things happen.
And, Boromir is kind of interesting, I think. He never gets to hold the ring. In the movie, he's got it on the end of his sword, but as far as I know, he never
I think he does in the book with his
at the Falls of Rauros just before.
He puts the tip of his sword under it and kind of looks at it.
He does that in the movie. Does he do that in the book too? Mm-hmm. Okay, but Sam has it for a much longer time, and Frodo's not corrupted by it until right at the end. Right. And Aragorn won't touch it, and Gandalf won't. Mm-hmm. But Boromir hasn't even touched it, and it corrupted him, which says to me this is some kind of weakness in Boromir. Yeah. But it was something that was good about Boromir, his devotion and his determination to help his country then, to help Gondor. Yeah. That's what he's thinking about when he wants the ring. Yeah. And it's, to some extent, maybe a lack of understanding on his part of how the ring's going to corrupt him. Yeah. And all he can see is if the ring would help us to fight Mordor.
Well, you've got two with Gandalf and Galadriel who both refuse the ring. Frodo offers it to both of them, but they say the same thing, like, I would use it for good, but eventually I would replace Sauron. Right. And Boromir doesn't, like you said, he doesn't have that foresight of... Sean Bean, right? Mm-hmm. I think he plays him perfect in the movies.
He's good.
Because he's like, oh yeah, we don't do that in Gondor. We're better than you in Gondor, and we would do that better in Gondor. And if you guys would just listen to me, we would be here by now and all these things. So I think Boromir does have the hubris of thinking this ring would not corrupt me because I am from Gondor. I'm a man of Gondor, and it doesn't corrupt us in Gondor, but... We know with his dad we've got problems going on already. So.
And you've got the contrast, too, between Gondor and, what's Theoden's place?
Rohan.
Yeah. The contrast there. Because, Gandalf goes to that library in Gondor to do, what's the name of the Minas Tirith?
That's right.
To do his research there. And the Rohanians, whatever.
The Rohirrim.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Those are my people. That's the only reason I know that.
I love them. They're the English people there.
That's right.
Okay.
He's using the English heritage there. But, they're, memory and the songs. And they don't have the literary that Gondor does. And you can tell, the difference in the palace there. That's a stone place with statues and so on, and Theoden sitting on the throne. It sounds like Hrothgar.
It does
in Hayarot there with tapestries on the wall and so on. Then and Gondor is a much more sophisticated place, and of course it's but Denethor gets corrupted by, well, it's Sauron who does that because he's communicating with the Palantir that he has. But still, I think, you know, I love the Rohirrim too, you know, Éomer and so on.
I think it's interesting for me that you talk about how that he pulled English culture for the Rohirrim, because we've talked about reading the songs. Tolkien writes so many songs, and sometimes it's hard for me to read because I don't know how to sing the songs.
I just skip them.
I do too. Okay.
he talks about that in that book.
Oh, good.
But I had written a note because when they get to Rohan, they start exchanging songs and all this stuff. And I'm a soccer fan, and there's always this comparison of English fans who sing the entire match and American fans who just kind of do little cheers and chants. And I had written a note that I wondered if these songs were a part of English culture that Tolkien was bringing into his novels, because you've got these pub songs and these like traditional songs, and then the Rohirrim are given their history through. So I don't know. That's just interesting to me that you say that they're based off of that, and I didn't know if that was.
Well, that wasn't my idea. That's Shippey who says that they're an image of Englishness, the Rohirrim.
Yeah.
And you see them and I love that scene where they're running.
Yes.
When and the movie, you know, it's a really good scene. And then the Rohirrim come around, and that's like the Indians in Western.
Right. Yeah.
Do they do that in the book? Circle around
Yeah.
them? Okay.
Yeah.
And so, another thing, I think when I see these people in real life, I think I would have never chosen you for that role, you know? And it just shows you how good those casting people are, I think. Now, I think Matt Damon's a great choice for Odysseus, and Zendaya is going to be a great Athena.
Yeah.
I myself don't like Anne Hathaway, but
I really don't either, to be honest with you.
I don't like her to be Penelope, but I'm sure she's going to be great.
She's in all of Nolan's movies, so you know she's going to find
true.
herself there. Yeah.
You know, some people I don't like Jeff Bridges. You know?
Oh, I do like Jeff Bridges.
You do?
Yeah.
You know, there's just a few people you just don't like.
Yeah.
But I know that's just me though. So, but Anne Hathaway, and then Charlize Theron is Calypso.
That's right.
And I don't know how they're going to do the sun. You know, none of his men survive because his stupid men eat the sun god's cattle, don't
That's
they?
right. Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess that'll be in the movie. I don't know, but
Perhaps, right. I do wonder how they're going to do that. Nolan's movies seem to be based in a grim kind of realism that sometimes slips into like eerie dreamlike, like with Inception and even Interstellar, but it's not really monster or fantasy.
Yeah. Even Oppenheimer, when they're doing that big questioning of him, his wife is envisioning things happening, and he's envisioning things happening while they're questioning him.
So it blurs, but at the same time, there's no monsters.
Even in
right?
Batman, at the end of it, where you can't tell if Alfred is seeing Bruce Wayne or not.
Or not. But Odyssey is going to feature a Cyclops and Charybdis. And
Charybdis is in the previews, but I haven't seen Scylla.
Right.
They shouldn't show Scylla.
Yeah.
Wait till the movie.
I wondered if you could slip off to Middle Earth for one day or even 1 week. Would you go to the Horse Lords? Would you go to where would you go to Lothlorien? Where would be your place to go to? Bilbo and Sam always wanted to go see the elves. Where would Dr. Laird want to go?
Probably Minas Tirith.
Minas Tirith, yeah.
Or else to Theoden. Well, so, one of those, I think.
Sure.
But it wouldn't be Lothlorien.
No, not at all.
No.
Why?
That would be fine.
Are you afraid of the Enchantress of the Woods? Where would you go?
I don't know. My first gut is to go to Hobbiton. I think Hobbiton would be neat to hang around for a day or two.
You can go there in real life.
But you can go there in real life. And also, I mean, just sitting around, having second breakfast, having 11Zs, having all of that. I feel like I'm going to get bored like Bilbo after a little while and want to get out and go see something else. I kind of want to see Khazad-dûm. I kind of want to see the mines of
Now
Moria.
that one would be great.
Yeah.
Now, what about you, Drew?
I thought Minas Tirith first because the way, I mean, on the movies, it's so fantastic to look at. But also Rivendell is I feel like I could really hang out at Rivendell. Rest right now sounds good to me, so Rivendell is probably where I would go. That's probably where I'd head
And
to.
what would you do there other than just sit and stare at elves?
That's it. That's all I would do. That's all I want to do.
Okay.
Catch up on your reading. You would catch up on your reading.
Well, it was interesting in the extended version. People sort of criticized when Galadriel gave them the gifts when they were leaving. They said, well, she doesn't give him her hair, her 3 hairs. And Peter Jackson said, what are you going to do? She's going to pull out 3 hairs, and what's he going to do with them and whatever. And, it's a different medium. He's absolutely right. Leave that out. We got the general idea.
Yeah.
And, Shelob's just great. Now, see, Tolkien, was bitten by a tarantula
I didn't know this.
when he lived in South Africa when he was, 2 or 3 years old. And he says he didn't remember it. And, I can well believe that. But it does seem to me he has a horror of spiders.
Yes.
The
ones in Mirkwood, Shelob.
And then the Silmarillion.
The Silmarillion.
That was like Sauron's go-to. She would go, and what was her name? I can't.
Shelob.
Shelob, yeah. Just absolutely devastate people.
Yeah, lobe's the Old English word for spider, as you know. And then I guess she just thought she with it.
Yeah,
She's spider.
Am I mistaken? But she was like Sauron's number 1 weapon.
Going up that way.
Yeah, he would send her out, and
But and he says, he doesn't remember it, but nevertheless, as I tell the class, he may express an opinion about things, but we don't care.
Right.
Presumably he wrote what we're supposed to know, and we don't have Shakespeare around to explain what he meant, or Chaucer, and of course Tolkien's not around now, but much more recently. And Robert Frost in the poem Stopping by Woods says that he doesn't intend that to be a death wish, those last 2 lines, and miles to go before I sleep and miles to go before I sleep. And I just used that to tell the class, we don't care what he says about it. He wrote, presumably, what we're supposed, and if we can read and he can write, we don't need him to explain it to us.
I love that.
All of us have written things we didn't mean to, or missing, or not written what we meant to.
Yeah.
And so, but Tolkien's not here to explain it then.
Yeah.
Doesn't Tolkien say that he thinks writing allegory is lazy?
He doesn't like it.
But yet, I feel like the entire trilogy is an allegory, is it not, in some sense?
He says no, and I guess I agree with him.
Okay.
In his essay, The Monsters and the Critics, he talks about Beowulf, and he goes through, he said this, and he said this, and so on. But no, Tolkien does not like allegory. And I don't guess I see it as an allegory. I mean, you could maybe pick out a character as sort of allegorical. Who would that be? Maybe Sam is just a good, loyal, devoted servant.
Sure.
Well, I know I've always heard, and I feel like I can see it, where it's like the industrial world overtaking the English countryside. That's what I've always read, that it's like an extended metaphor of that. But
well, he didn't like that, but I don't know if it was...
Yeah.
Maybe just like a side thing.
You can make a case for, there are lots of things I can make a case for that I don't believe. So, anyway.
Yeah.
If I were able to teach The Hobbit or any of Tolkien's work again in class, what would you want me to communicate to the students?
I think maybe that Bilbo makes a journey. He starts out as, he's a took and a Baggins, and the conflict in Bilbo, not a conflict actually, but parts of both that keep turning up. Sometimes his took side comes out, or then he's sitting and wanting to be home smoking his pipe. But that everybody has a hero inside them.
I love that. I'm really glad that you reminded me how it's not the great and mighty powerful who win the War of the Ring. It's not. It's the little things. It's the ordinary people that do this. And even if we have monsters in our life that keep hounding us and following us, Gandalf and you, our Gandalf, remind us that, everybody has their part to play, and even creatures like Gollum are deserving of pity. I was really surprised when Gandalf cautioned and reminded, Gollum himself might even get redemption. I can't promise it, but he might have redemption. There's just some sort of part everybody has to play, and we don't have that vision up front. But it's not the mighty and powerful, it's not the politicians, it's not Denethor that wins the war for us. It's the little ones. You have left a huge impact on us, and I'm really grateful. I know I'd started at the beginning that this was like a quest for trying to go back home, and today's my first day of coming back to Henderson Hall in 20 years, and it feels like coming back home, So we're really grateful for you, and grateful for your time.
That's a good school.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Would you ever consider sitting with us again to talk about Tolkien?
I'll be happy
anything?
to anytime.
It would mean the world.
You can see I need to read the books again before, but as I told you, I hadn't read these now in a while, so some of it gets away from me. But just whenever.
Honors is a Free Zone radio production, created here in Sparta, Tennessee. Thanks for spending your summer with us on the radio. If you enjoyed this content, please give us a like, share the link with someone you know, or give us a 5-star rating, and hit that subscribe button for more. Word of mouth might be the best advertising, but clicking like and subscribe really does help keep us afloat and visible in all the platforms. And we want to keep working to bring you even more episodes next season. Stick with us for the big summer read of 2026, The Lord of the Rings. We're taking the book chunk by chunk, volume by volume this summer, starting with The Fellowship of the Ring. Read along with us. Send us all your thoughts and questions, and let us know if you want to be on the show too. And go listen to this week's episodes from our other show, Second Stage, and our brother podcast, A Dead Man's Books. They make for great listening while you're tanning by the pool, or mowing the yard, or driving on that 8-hour family trip. You can find all our shows here on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to great content.
Hey everyone, my name is Drew, and I want to talk to you about my show, A Dead Man's Books. The show was created with the mindset of whenever I pass away, as morbidly as that sounds, that my children would inherit my books. And of all the things that I'm going to pass down to them, I think that that's the one thing that I want them to make sure that they keep and go through on their own time. But I want to be there next to them whenever they read these things. And so I created a podcast so that they could go back and listen to me and my friends and other people as we read through these books and what we had to think about it. But it's grown to so much more. We've got authors we interview. We talk about everyday life. We talk about how literature connects to life. All of those things in one place. And now we want you to come along with us and join us. This is a podcast not just for my kids, but for everyone who loves to read, everyone who loves a good story, everyone who's a parent, everyone who's a teacher, everyone who just enjoys literature. This is a place to come. So come join us every Monday on A Dead Man's Books.